For people who are caregivers, I would encourage you to give yourself some grace. Every day is not going to be a good day, and every day is not going to be a bad day either. But every day is different. Especially depending on what the person is dealing with that you're being a caregiver to. I have experience in that area as I was my mom's caregiver. She lived with dementia for almost 5 years, and every day was different. Because there's something dealing with the memory. Every day wasn't a good day, but every day wasn't a bad day either. But there were some days where I beat myself up because things didn't go. Not even as according to what I planned to, but nowhere near. The adjusting that I had to do throughout the day, it was hard. And during the time while I'm caregiver to my mom, my children were small. During that time when when that disease first took effect, my youngest child was, now he was 2, 1.5, 2. So that would make my oldest child 3. So it was, it was challenging. And a lot of times, I beat myself up about things. But during the course of that, I had to learn to give myself grace too, because it was challenging. There were times where I had to treat it as if, when my children were babies, when they slept, that's when I slept. That's how I would have to do it with her. I had to rearrange everything around her, because she had dementia. She didn't understand what was going on. She didn't know that she had dementia. People with Alzheimer's and those forms of dementia, they don't know that they have that. They figure, something is going on with everybody else. There's nothing wrong with them. So that's what makes it challenging. But, when she slept, I slept, and then there were some times I didn't get any sleep, because when she was asleep, that was my time to spend time with my children, or to take care of something else around the house, washing the clothes, the dishes, or prepping food for a couple of days out, because that was a challenge too. She was the type that was cooking all the time. So, there was times where I'm trying to prepare food and she's in the kitchen as well, but she's being a danger, not knowing it, but she's being a danger. And, I couldn't cook. So it's just a lot of things that went on during that time where I just had to learn, like, hey, you're not going to be perfect at this. Just do the best you can. And I had resources. I can't recall the exact name of the organization, but the Alzheimer's organization did put me in touch with some resources, in the beginning, to where, nurses would come in and, help bathe her. But, after a while, I could do that by myself, because, like I said, I had to have certain type of things done during a certain time of day. And there would be times when my mom would say, I'm ready to take a bath. So, I had to do it then. I couldn't wait for the nurses to come. I had to do it when she was ready to do it. So, give yourself grace, and if you have help, utilize the help. And for people who are going to help or assist caregivers, make sure that you're being a help and not a hindrance. Stick to the schedule or whatever they got going on. Because if you come in and you alter that schedule of what they have just a little bit, you're going to set them back. You're going to set the person who's need care back, and you're going to set that caregiver back. You're just coming in causing confusion. Stick to the schedule. Stick to whatever they have going on. And if you don't have help, I encourage you to seek some in your area. Get with the Alzheimer's organization if you have a person that's dealing with dementia, or get with the person who's has an illness, the person who needs the caregiver. Get with their doctor, see what other type of resources they have for whatever type of care that they need. I just encourage you to get help, because you can burn out, and you'll burn out faster than what you think. And then you won't be able to help that person who needs help, or even yourself, excuse me. You just be burnt out. There may be times where, there'll be things that you want to do, and you having help, even if it's somebody just scheduled to come in for like 2-3 hours to sit while even if you just go sleep, take a nap, run some errands or whatever. If you have that available to you, I encourage you to use that. Take full advantage of it. Seek out resources for medical supplies. There's always something out there. You're going to have to know, what type of insurance they have. You're going to have to know a lot of their personal business as being a caregiver. So their life has now become your life, and your life there is vice versa. Because everything is going to revolve around that person who needs care. So I encourage you, don't step into that if you don't believe that you can deal with the bad days, because they're going to be bad days. You're going to need patience. You're going to have to extend grace towards yourself and the person who needs care. Now, I've heard horror stories of people coming in to care for someone, and that person who needed care was just flat out, drag out, mean every day, all during the day. But the caregiver kept going because they know that person needed help. Child, God bless you. Dealing with that all day, there has to be something. And sometimes, with my mom, her having dementia, some days were like that. I mean, she wasn't a cursor or a person who, down talk or demean or anything like that, but just some days were just rough. Because there was nothing I could do to please her, nothing I could do to help her. And then I came to the point to where I just accepted that as well. Like, okay, all right, let's see what type of day she having, so I'm just leave her alone. Still had to make sure she was secure and safe though. But I just left her alone. There's times she wasn't ready to take a bath or a shower. Okay, nope, just leave her alone. She's not ready to eat. Okay, leave her alone. Like, Mom, you need to take your medicine. She wouldn't take her meds all the time on time like she was supposed to either. So, and even after talking to her doctor about that, her doctor was like, well, you're doing pretty much the only thing you can do. She said, if she's not cooperating with you, then yeah, you're just going to have to let those things go and get back on track as soon as you can. It's not going to be at all perfect. But I encourage you once again, if you have help, you have some type of assistance, you are able to reach out and get some resources to where you can get, a break. Somebody comes in and sit with the patient for a while, or even a family member. Boy, it's real good when the family works together. When the family can come in and take turns, and however y'all do it, that's real good. I know that there are struggles, because, hey, yeah, we all have our lives as individuals. And, some of us are married, kids. And so, yeah, it's kind of hard to come in and take care of someone. But when it's a plethora of family, now I've seen it done, where family members just come in shifts, and they take care of the person who needs care. And it works out just fine. And then, too, I've also seen family come in, a plethora of family, and they just fighting and arguing the whole time. So when you have help, good help, please take advantage of it. Please do, because you will burn out. You're already going to be tired because you're taking care of someone. And yep, there's going to be some days where it's going to be some serious struggle. But like I said, every day, not a bad day. It's not a bad day. But I encourage you as caretaker, take care of yourself as much as possible. If you're not a caretaker who has a heart to care for people, to be patient, then don't do it. Just say you can't do it. It's okay. That person who needs care would rather you admit to say that you can't do it or you don't want to do it than to be suffering from neglect and or abuse. Caretakers, take care of yourself as much as possible. And as much as you can keep some normalcy on life from the things that you were doing before, I encourage you to do that too. But I know that in being in someone's caregiver, that there's going to be a lot of adjusting and a lot of adjustment. But still, my final word, my final encouragement within this video is please don't beat yourself up. Extend yourself and the person who needs care grace.